Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of our MACAE Member Profile Series. On behalf of the Michigan Adult Community and Alternative Education Association, we launched this series to profile many of our wonderful members working in those fields and to highlight their work that they do every day. A little bit of information is that you'll be able to find today's episode as well as others on our website at www.macae.org and on our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at MACAE Today, MACAE Today. And without further ado, then I would like to welcome our guests for today's session, which is Whitney Dettmer, who is the Assistant Director of Adult Education at Iosco RESA. Welcome, Whitney.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. So Whitney, we've been doing this series of conversations, we're calling them, really to get to know each other. And sometimes, we don't have those opportunities in the workspace. And so much of what we do is so important around the relationships that we build and working alongside each other. So this is an opportunity for us to learn a little bit about your story and to share that with others. So why don't you talk to us and tell us a little bit about how you found your way into this wonderful world of adult alternative and community education. How'd you get started?
So kind of in a wonky way, which is I think how everybody gets to adult education. I taught in the classroom in elementary, so K-8, anywhere from 2nd grade up to 8th grade math for 10 years. I taught 5 years in Florida, 5 in Michigan. I spent a summer teaching on a yacht in the Mediterranean. Finished my master's. I never knew that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was crazy. I was working on my master's at the same time, had group projects that were due in the middle of the night. So that was interesting.
For like a private company, or what was it for?
Well, it was the inventor of Slim Fast. And so it was his 6-year-old and 3-year-old, and there was also a nanny. So I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty sweet gig.
Wow, I never knew that about you, Whitney. Wow, so you would say probably from your 3 experiences of Florida, the Mediterranean, and Michigan, that Michigan's obviously the best, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah. You get to snuggle, I guess. Right?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's crazy. Hands down, the best little tidbit fact that we've learned so far in this series. But go ahead, tell us the rest of your story.
So after 10 years in the classroom, I took a couple years off to be home with my kids. And my kids swim. They do the Club Otters team. And at the time, Tina's daughter was also swimming. And so we were sitting next to each other, event after event, doing ribbons together. And she's like, hey, I've got this job. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. I've never heard of that. And every week, she's like, I think this would be really cool if if you wanted to come back, think about it. And so I did want to use my administration certificate. So I was like, I want to get back into it. And that's kind of how I got into adult ed, and that from elementary.
That's wonderful. And Tina, just so our audience knows, is the director there at your program and covers adult and alternative education and was a former member of our board. So, wow, that's a windy story all the way. So when did you first come to Iosco RESA, the program? How long have you been there now?
I think it's been 3.5 years.
Oh, wow. Time flies.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun. And you are now a member of our board of directors and have been now for almost that same amount of time, maybe 2 years now.
Yeah.
I think it's going.
This is the start of the 2nd year, I think.
Yeah. You've been there. Wonderful contributions and serving as the representative for really the northern half of the lower peninsula. Yes, exactly. I'm not sure how many counties that is, but it is quite a few.
Probably 20 some.
Yes,
I guess.
Just a few counties. And so really our strong voice for all of the programs that are there, but also the student population that resides there, because the needs of those learners we have found by your voice and Tina's and others from that area are very similar to other voices around the state of Michigan. But there's also some major challenges that they have that look quite different from other parts of the state. So why don't you tell us a little about your current role at the program, besides doing everything, and
I don't.
and what tell us a little about your team and the students, and a little bit more about your program at Iosco.
Okay. So I definitely don't do everything. I have an amazing team. So we serve 8 counties. We have 10 what we call regular sites that are mostly co-located in Michigan Works. We're also in a high school, community college, and then another building that we kind of just share with Michigan Works in a different way. And then we also have 3 jail programs. And we have 6 teachers. All of them cover multiple sites. So they are also running around. Many of you have seen me in my mobile office covering 8 counties. My teachers do the same. So Melissa is covering Sheboygan, Rogers City, Onaway. She's also working with some alternative students. Nicole is working in Alpena, Michigan Works, 2 rehab centers in Alpena and Alpena Jail. She also, on the side, works for Community Corrections, which has been a really neat partnership. It's really helped our students. Let's see, Kathy works in Escoda and Tawas. Becky works at Alcona High School and at the Iosco County Jail. Denise is at West Branch, Michigan Works, and Lauren is in Atlanta, not Georgia, the Atlanta that has 1 stop sign. And then Gaylord, and she's also covering Sheboygan Jail for us right now. We've had a Sheboygan posting since April 14th, so just throwing that out there if anybody knows anybody in Sheboygan. We're looking for somebody for Michigan Works in our jail. So we have many ABE students and lots of students that choose to do the diploma track with us. We've had students into their 60s who have graduated with their diploma, which is really exciting. And I know it's just always a good celebration. And then we have a lot of GEDs, and we also do HiSET, which has been really successful for us in the jails because of it being paper pencil and not having to bring computers in, because that got a little hairy with the GED, and it's just been so much easier with HiSET.
Just to ask you a question, Whitney, just for our listening audience, HiSET is another high school equivalency test, correct? Comparable to GED.
Comparable. It is 5 tests instead of 4, and you have to pass writing with a certain score on the essay. So just something to keep in mind for HiSET. Otherwise, we do love it. But it's that writing. Adam Springwater from HiSET did a training with our staff, and I think
shout out to Adam.
Yeah, shout out to Adam. It was really good. If you can get Adam to do training on anything for HiSET, any subject area, he's just a great speaker, and he's kind of gives you these bullet points to follow to get him to pass. So I'm not sure what else about our program.
Talk a little bit about you've alluded to it a little bit, the various locations that you have really across the 8-county region, but talk a little bit about how your students are most engaged with learning. Is that usually in an in-person, synchronous, asynchronous? How do you meet them, and how are they best learning? Because the reason I'm asking that question is it's a little loaded in the sense that that may look different than other parts of the state. And I think that's an important distinction to make, especially for the populations that you have in a very rural area of the state.
Yeah, I was going to say, due to being so rural, transportation is a huge issue for us. We do provide gas cards for people to come in for testing, but Generally, people are working on their classes online. We have a lot of people that will work third shift, and so they'll be doing their classes at really strange hours in the night. It works for them. We have students that are still like busting through classes and they're working 1 or 2 jobs with crazy hours. So I love that about our program, that we can be so flexible to meet the needs of what they need. We ask that students work on their classes 10 hours a week, depending on their work schedule. If they're working 40 to 80 hours, we ask for 5 hours a week, or, we work with our students. Communication is key for us. Our teachers will hound the students if they're not reaching out to their teachers. That's another thing I love about our teachers. They're just on their students. They're just making sure that they're staying on top of their schoolwork. Our teachers help with so many more resources than just schooling, if you will. It's helped that we're in Michigan Works. We also have MRS in some of the Michigan Works locations. But even just finding housing, I have a teacher that has found shower tokens through the local priest. She buys tents for students who are homeless. I'm not sure that some of our teachers take home a paycheck because they are buying these things for students. But there's a lot of agencies too that we work with that help provide things. But yeah, most of our classes are online, ABE, the HSE and the diploma classes, and the students just work at their own rate to get through those. In the jails, we are using paper pencil books.
That's great. That's a very comprehensive view of your program. And really, I think it's just important to understand the lay of the land, literally there, and how that programming is really student focused. That's something that's important to understand about alternative and adult education, is that it really is meeting the person where they are and going with them on that journey to get them to their milestone goal and to get them onto the next pathway. And that can look very different from learner to learner, student to student. So thank you for sharing that. So what are you most looking forward to this year, Whitney? What's kind of on the top of your mind as you've worked all summer, but what, as we kind of return back to full-time programming, what's kind of on the view for Iosco?
So last year, we had a goal of 30 graduates, and we ended up with 48 graduates in adult ed and 5 alternative graduates. So that was really, really, really exciting. So I'm looking forward to that again, just punching through our goals. And I love the graduations. I love taking pictures. So I always do like some really fun pictures of students and with their families and everything. So I'm looking forward to graduations.
That's great. It's helping people reach those milestones. And this would be a good time for us to say that Iosco is on Facebook. Do you know what your Facebook page is called? I think it's Iosco Adult Ed. So that's a good place to start, right?
Yes. If you search it, you'll probably find it.
If you search it, it will come up. So,
and I tag MACAE. So if they look on MACAE.
Yes. And you can come to our social media and find it from there. What are you kind of looking forward to and sharing with other members this year? I know that, others that we've interviewed have said, the networking opportunities and coming to the fall conference. This is in person this year, which we're excited about. But what are you excited about in that area?
Well, I'm a people person and I talk a lot. So definitely the conference and mingling with people. And then I will also just share with my region that they all know, because there's, just a few of us, that I'm just a phone call away if they need anything. If they want me to bring anything back to MACAE on behalf of our region as a whole. My number is 989-305-8063. And you can also text me, which everybody over in region 2, I think, has texted me on that number. And then you can also reach me on my email, which is wdettmer@ioscoresa.net.
Thank you for sharing with that. That's important for us to all stay connected and engaged with one another. And thank you for taking the time today, Whitney. It's been great to know your story a little bit more, know your vision, kind of the focus of where your program is going. And I will say that if you ever want to start an adult alternative education program on a yacht, I will sign up to help coordinate that.
It was fabulous. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, thank you for taking time. We'll be back again soon with another episode of our MACAE member profiles. But for now, I'd like to say thank you, Whitney. We appreciate all you do, and take care.
Thanks. You too.